In this video, we're covering multiplying and dividing terms. So when you're multiplying and dividing terms, you always multiply or divide the numbers or coefficients first, and then the variables, pronumerals or letters. So we're going to look at the first thing here is multiplying terms. So let's do an example on this. So I always like to rewrite the thing first. Now I also like to highlight what I'm doing. So in terms of this 5 and this 3 are what we're actually multiplying together. The n, because there's no other letters or no other n's over here on the right side where the 3 is, we don't even have to worry about it. It's just going to continue through. So if I go 5 times 3, I get 15. We said nothing happens to the n, it just stays. So our answer is 15n. So here again, we've got 3 terms this time. I'm going to highlight our coefficients or the numbers. We have a y and a b. They're different, so I'm not going to worry about highlighting them because I know they're just going to sit there at the bottom. So we got 2 times 3 times 4. So I'll do that over here. 2 times 3 times 4 is 24. So I know in our answer here we're going to have 24. Nothing happens to the y, so the y stays. Nothing happens to the b, so the b stays. So 24yb. Next we have 2q times q, so 2q times q. So there's nothing for the 2 to multiply with, so I'm not going to worry about highlighting that. But the q does multiply with the other q. Now remember, when you have 2 terms multiplying by the same thing, so wait, before we begin, 2, it stays, nothing happens. But these q's, they become q squared because there's 2 of them. If I had, so q times q equals q squared. If I had q times q times q, I get q cubed. And if I have q times q times q times q, q4. So you see in the pattern there. So we're going to look at some dividing terms now. I prefer this when it's a fraction to deal with dividing terms because you look for what's on the top of the bottom. So this one's easy one. Y and y are on the top and the bottom. They just cross out. So our answer is 15. Alright, because that y essentially is cancelling out the top y. So here we have minus 25yz divided by 5y. I'm going to rewrite it. Make sure you're writing things underneath similar terms. So when I say that, I mean here we have our regular numbers, here we have our y's, and because there's only one z, this is where our z's would be. Okay. Now, you may like to do this. This method is to break it up into its parts, and we go, well, what's minus 25 divided by 5? Well, minus 25 divided by 5 is minus 5. I then go to my red and say, well, y and y, they essentially cancel out, so they don't matter anymore, they're not there. There was only one z, so z stays there. So our answer to this is minus 5z. Alright, now, before we move on, I just want to quickly cover something. What happens if I had y squared divided by y? Well, what that means is this y cancels out only one of those y's there. So we're left with another y. Well, what happens if I had y3 over y? Same thing. This y cancels out one of those, so that's a 2 now. And your answer is y squared. Okay? Another thing I think is important to know is what happens if we have y over y cubed, where the big is on the bottom. Essentially, this changes into a 1, that changes into a 2. So our answer is 1 over y squared. So wherever, it's not really the right way to say it, but wherever the bigger number is where it will stay. So if the bigger number was on the bottom, your y is going to stay on the bottom. If your bigger power is on the top, y is going to stay on the top. So to recap, remember, when multiplying or dividing terms, multiply or divide the numbers, or what we say coefficients first, and then the variables or the pronumerals or letters.